I see people saying good night. It lets me know what area you're in. For me, it's good afternoon, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Welcome to Vlog Thursday, number 367. I didn't have any particular driving topics today, so I stuck tech news in there. I kind of miss doing the tech news stuff. I've thought about do I do another live stream where I do tech news? It's kind of fun, just covering all the silliness that I read. I throw some of it in my newsletter. So, by the way, I have a newsletter. Go ahead and sign up for that at lawrencesystems.com if you're interested. The other thing I want to throw in the beginning here, though, before I start shilling a newsletter, is thank you for the feedback regarding doing one-on-one courses. That's definitely exciting that people were interested in that. I will work towards making that happen. Someone reached out to me randomly outside of this asking if I offered one-on-one classes, and they didn't see it from my live stream, which I assumed that's why they reached out to me. But nonetheless, I think it's kind of cool that people are interested in it, and that is something I will work towards is, putting something together where I sell X number of seats. I'm trying to do things to avoid doing HelloFresh or whatever popular trending thing is out there in terms of advertising. Trying to do things a little different. I may still have some ads to sell. I think I might sell an ad read for the Vlog Thursday. That is a definite possibility. I need to figure out how to fill some of the gaps that YouTube leaves with their lack of ad revenue that comes in anymore. It isn't what it used to be, which is unfortunate, but it takes money to run things. So that's why I talk about that. I always like to be honest and transparent with the audience. It's makes it a lot easier. I don't hide anything from you. That being said, we can jump right into a couple news topics I have here. Actually, before we get to news topics, I have an AI topic. I guess that's news, right? This is interesting AI news. Share this out here. And if you don't follow unsupervised learning, I think you should. It's pretty cool if you're into some of the AI things. But they posted this on GitHub. This is Daniel Messler's Fabric. It's not fully released. I will possibly do a video about it when it's fully released because this is really cool. This is all a series of prompts and tuning for ChatGPT. It's an open source framework for augmenting humans with AI. And this is actually really slick. It's not 100% complete, but he's got a lot of his prompts in here already. It's just, David Bumble did a video on it. I already follow Danielle, who's been talking about this and hyping it for a little while. And it's just kind of novel. And this is all open source, which I think is really cool. The nice thing is, look at the patterns in here. For example, analyze claims. And these are different prompts. So you can start prompting ChatGPT to get a more effective output out of it. This is one of the problems with ChatGPT is the fact that, it's not easy to get good output out of there. It gives you very generic and bland stuff. But with prompt engineering, you can really narrow it down to produce something very useful. This is how I use ChatGPT. You tell it you're going to do these things. This is your instructions of how you plan, how you will respond to me, what the input is. It's just really cool because you're scoping it down to what works. Where's some of them in here too? Extract a video ID. I haven't looked at all these yet. This is pretty recently released. You're an expert extracting video IDs from any URL so they can be passed to other applications. Take a deep breath and think about it. Best way to accomplish the goal using these steps. Read the whole URL so you fully understand the components. Find the portion of the URL that identifies the video ID. Output just the video ID itself. Now, the reason it does things like this is because he does this all from the command line. If you look at David Bomble's AI life hack video that he recently did, he kind of explains this a little more because let me pull that video up and throw it in here at the description as well. You can really see what it looks like in use. And I think it's fascinating. This is what actually makes AI useful. Pull it up. Where's that video at? I don't like David's title for it, by the way. I'll admit that. It says hack your life with demos. I don't think that's a great title. The video is good because if you jump and I'm at the 17-minute mark, I've watched it already, but I was sharing this with some of the internal staff at CNWR, and I was like, hey, just start at the 17-minute mark where they start showing how this works, because that's really what's the most interesting part to me is how does this work? How can you use it? And essentially what he's demoing is the fact that he pulls all this and pipes it through a series of commands from the command line. So instead of interacting with ChatGPT by the website, you can interact with it via the command prompts. So you can actually now chain each one of these prompts together. For the one I just mentioned with the video ID, you can say, hey, grab the video ID out of this, then take the video ID and push that information over here, and then build your next part of the workflow on here. That is where there's a lot of value. There's actually another, I'll mention it real quick for those of you that might be into this. Let's see, it's called Crew AI. This is another project kind of related called Crew AI. And what Crew AI can do is it's a framework for orchestrating role-playing autonomous AI agents by fostering collaborative intelligence. Crew AI empowers agents to work together seamlessly, tackling complex tasks. Essentially, what you're doing here is doing that prompt to a series of different GPTs. Then from there, you lead them into each other. So you take the output of one and chain it to the next one, chain it to the next one to get the project done. Because if you can't get enough prompt to make it do what you want, but you know this prompt will make it do the thing you want to do basically, then you can move on to the next one, move on to the next one. It's just kind of neat the way this works. And this will work with a lot more than ChatGPT. There's plenty of demos. They have some embedded in here of how to do this. And there's videos of how to do this as well in terms of like tutorials and walkthroughs. So if you want to check this out, I'll leave a link as well. I'll throw it in the chat here. There's a couple of the AI things that I'm working on. It's just, there's a lot of neat stuff you can do with it. It always impresses me. It's one of those, I don't try to follow any particular hype train, but this has been around for a little over a year. And now that AI, because it came out in November of, I think it was 2022, and it's now like tuned a lot better than it was. It's got some practical applications. I use it for a lot of little things I've mentioned before. It'll do a summary of some of my videos when I'm done to be able to put the timestamps in. It does little mundane tasks like that really well. Sometimes it's just helpful for doing things. I actually had a consulting session where I helped someone with their Graylog instance, and I was showing them how to take logs and put them into ChatGPT to have it write parsers. And maybe that's a good tutorial because I don't want to just hype anything. I like to show the practical application of it, how it would be useful to you. So hey, leave me some comments if you want to see me do a ChatGPT video on Graylog. That might be kind of a fun one. I don't know. Leave some thoughts on that. Share your insights. I want to UIs for my AI YouTube workflow, no scripting, but the mundane stuff. Yes, I actually tested a product today, and I can't remember the name of it. If I find it, I'll look for it. It's truly disappointing how bad it was. I've seen some of these people doing these garbage YouTube channels where they have it produce the entire video. It'll grab all the stock footage and it's grabbing the context of what the words are. So it'll write a script, have an AI voice read the script, and the whole video is just glued together stock footage that is contextual to what is being said in that particular moment. Ugh, yeah, it's bad. It's not what I recommend. Kyle Hill did a video talking about some of these channels, and it's interesting how many of them are and how they're just popping up all over the place. Kyle Hill's video on the topic is really good. I can probably find that one too, just in case people want to watch it. Kyle Hill's a good science creator. Let's see. Well, he's got a new one I haven't watched. So I don't, but it's this video here. So let me share this tab. It's a good watch. It's only a 20-minute video, but this is a really good watch by Kyle Hill, and it's all the different automated content things, and they're stealing his content as well. It's the most generic BS channels, but there's people consuming it. They have millions of views, and it's wild how they're doing it. The great log would be helpful as it's easy for someone to understand. I have a hard time wrapping my head around AI, so I'm so used to command line and working with a set of parameters. Yeah, that's what I think that's important, is doing that practical. This is what makes something really useful, is not that, hey, look, it's shiny and cool. It's the, hey, here's the practical way this can help you solve a problem. I think that's just a better use of it, if you will. I realize I have the wrong, got the right logo. There we go. What do I have any AI run analysis on Graylog to spot trends and predictive troubleshooting? Yeah, I think that would be interesting. The tricky part is I'd have to get a local LLM to feed it into. That would be the harder part, because that's a skill level. Not that it's hard for someone who's knows how to do it. It's hard for Tom to do, but the concept is definitely there. I do like the idea. There's an interview with the CEO of Gray Noise. You'd find it in Risky Business, one of their December episodes. They talk about doing that, using tools to do anomaly detection and kind of filter through the noise. I think there's going to be some good tools that come out in the future from that one as we get it tuned. But doing machine learning anomaly detection is still kind of an art. It's not cut and dry. It's not because it has the same problems we do. It's not a amount of data problem. It's how do you identify when a log is malicious? How do you identify when an IP is malicious? Everyone's slapping the words AI on all of their fanciness, but actually doing the work and figuring out what is or is not malicious is still hard work. It's best at filtering noise, recognize patterns, and presenting to those IT admins for further review, take action. It can be. It's certainly good. One of the things it's really good at is writing code. It doesn't write wonderful code, but if you have basic functions that you need done, hey, here's the file. Can you write a bash script that does this for me? It'll do that really well for you. When doing new deployments, I often paste my network switching configs into ChatGPT and ask it to explain each section of the configuration. Great for documentation. Yes, that is actually a really good feature. So you can have it analyze something. What was I remember what someone had sent me something and I wasn't 100% what it did. And I could have spent time looking up a couple of the functions in it, but I jumped into ChatGPT because I was like, oh, I can just have this do it. What are the different functions in here and explain each one? Boom. It'll even, if you want, you can even have it rewrite it to add all the code comments, then copy that output and paste it back in somewhere else. Hello from Sydney, from the land down under. I have picked on, and we're going to do it again today. I have picked on in the past the folks at Zyxel, and yeah, they're in the news again. Let me answer this person's question. How do you learn how to use AI like a bash script you mentioned? Where do I go to see that, and how to get AI to write code? There's a million YouTube tutorials on how to get ChatGPT to write code. You just ask it to. You said, matter of fact, you prompt it and say, you're a Linux expert. You're an expert at bash. Then you tell it what to write. Write me a bash script that does this, and it'll start just outputting the code. It's actually really, oh yeah, Python. It knows Python as well. Yeah, no doubt about that. So let me, let's see. Like if you want to make a bash script that counts from 1 to 100 on the screen. I mean, obviously this is incredibly simple what I asked it to do, and it's not that hard. Yeah, the plugins are a plus feature. But yeah, it's really fun. You can even make it your code companion to teach you how to do coding. I could say do the same thing in Python. And then you can just hit copy code. You can tell it to make it so it's downloadable. I mean, it's so easy to use. I use it for, you can use it for other features as well. This is like one of the plugins called Chat with a Video Pro. Matter of fact, so if I pull up, because I threw it in a link in here, right? So this is that Kyle Hill video that I had just mentioned. So let me. So here's that video that I was mentioning, and you're like, okay, I don't got 19 minutes to watch that video. So we're going to hit copy, and we'll go here, make a 2-sentence. And we'll make it 3 sentences. That sounds good enough. 3 sentence. Because this is a plugin, it's already been prompted to understand pulling videos. And here you go. The video provided YouTube link discusses the ongoing problem of scam channels and AI-generated content on YouTube. The creator, who has been posting science-related content over a decade, addresses the issue. So, here's a really simple summary that it produced that quickly. So pretty fast to be able to get things done like that. It works really well. Oh, if you want, here, you can even do this. So for make a LinkedIn post for me to share about this video. There you go. Now I just I copy and paste this, and I can share this on LinkedIn. Yeah, it's just using the subtitles. I mean, people ask how I get social media done. I mean, there, I just revealed one of the secrets. How do you post so much? It pretty much like this. You can do this, and you can change the voice and things like that. You can say, do it in this person's voice. I should hold some AI training stuff for how I use AI. If people are interested in that. Oh, it even understood my typo. Yeah, you don't even got to spell anything right for ChatGPT. It doesn't care. This is something I'm working on, is more automation. I mentioned this in my video when I did my studio tour, being a solo creator, but I kind of plan to keep being a solo creator, because with tools like this, I can keep iterating to make things work better. This is where I could, instead of hiring an assistant to do this, I could just, okay, I'm just going to automate this. I'm going to create a workflow. By the way, this can be built into automations. So that way there's an automation that it gets applied to this. So I post a YouTube video that I also want a blog post about. I can then have it rip through to a blog post. Then I can have that blog post created on my WordPress site. Then I can review this summary, and then all I got to do is look at the final and going, yeah, that looks right, or this doesn't look right. I'm going backwards and re-summarizing some of our business technicalities videos and re-putting in summaries of the data that was in there so they can be converted to posts as well. It's really nice. Um, I have, but I haven't shared. I don't think I've shared this with the crowd here. Um, here, here's a fun one. I can share this as a link. This is completely a test. Oh no, think I can pull it up, and you guys can hear the audio. So let me pull this up. Obviously that is me, but I re-swapped my voice. It's actually using not a script. This uses the inflections, my actual voice, and then remaps it. I can map it to anyone's voice. This is a generic test one I did, but I can actually take voice samples of other people, and I'm going to be doing this with some of my friends, and this lets me then play back in that voice. So listen, tell me if you can hear this.
27th of 2023, and as some people have found out, Google has lost some of their files. Now, this seems to affect a very small number of people, but of course, it's pretty traumatic if you're among those number of people. And Google engineers haven't really figured out what happened, but apparently a lot of people's data got rolled back to some previous state. And people had mentioned it was all the way back in May of 2023. I just see losing that many months of data is pretty critical.
Kind of gives you, yeah, that's not, I wanted to make it sound completely not like me. It was fun. I chose to do a voice different than my own. I did not upload to YouTube other people's voices. I can have it emulate my friends' voices. You put training data in, and then once you have the training model set up, I can do the voice swap. It's a lot of fun to play with. This was a rabbit hole I spent way too much time on. If you want to know why I didn't get the data center video done, it's because I keep playing with different AI tools and having fun. I enjoy this. This is a big smile on my face as I play with all these different tools for sure. They are a absolute it's just fun. That's all I can describe this as. AI Tom. Actually, even more so, is the what did I say? Is not just the AI. Well, maybe. I don't know. Hold on. I knew phrases and words and statements that copy that but use a woman's voice. Yeah, that's kind of, well, it's remapping the voice with my inflections. That's what's really cool. So if I can imitate someone else's mannerisms to an extent, the way they use their voice, the way they behave, you can then map you to them with their voice. So you can train it on people's things. Maybe I'll do a tutorial on how I do that. It's actually kind of fun. And then I drop it in my editing tools and that comes out. But I'm working on, this is what my thought I had for us pausing to make it more concise. If you go to my forums, and my forums, pull it up real quick here. Pull up me. There we go. So if we look at a summary in my forums of me, so I have 5,400 posts created. So all my answers to questions, 5,400. Then I have 1,900 videos on YouTube right now, 18 or 1,900 videos on YouTube. I know it's just shy of 2,000. I plan to take all of that data, put it into an AI system and make me, because this is the cool thing. I have this much data that I've produced, all this different content, and then I'm going to make the AI Tom. And yeah, it is just really cool. I don't know. It's fascinating to me, like to be able to do that, to think I have now created enough data. I have the data sets available. I have this large mass that I can train on, and then say, all right, now build a chat bot people can interact with. And now there's more than one of me. There's a higher availability of me where I can say, if you want all Tom's answers, use the Tom chatbot. And then I put it on there and I'll put some notice. This chatbot is AI. It may not give you the most accurate answers, but you know, it works good enough. um, What is the best free tool to get an inventory of your network? Host name, MAC address, make, model, serial number, devices? I don't know. Just wait till it goes on a rant. Yes. We need to train one on Jason Slagle as well. I would say like Nmap is your free tool to Mac. I mean, make, model, serial number of devices. There's not necessarily a tool that's going to know that. Nmap will give you like network data, but actual device data that you're going to have to input that. There's not like, unless you're loading a tool on each computer, but even then it may not have the serial number of each one. I want the GPT to generate a video and audio giving you the answer. At some point, I'm going to have so many stupid videos. I'm going to need some type of AI system to index them all so I can ask, did I do a video on this already? Question: with pfSense firewall and UniFi switches, is there a way to isolate devices on the same subnet? No, that's because on the same subnet, they're not isolated. They're when they're on the subnet, they're able to talk to each other without the gateway. So that's not going to work. Didn't they have a fake? Yes, they have a fake thing calling people. That's for sure. Does UniFi do private VLANs? I don't think they'll do private VLANs, but they do for Wi-Fi offer host isolation. So if it's on Wi-Fi, I believe you can just turn on host isolation, but I don't think you can do that on a on the wired side. When you have a rack with networking and servers, what's your opinion on connecting the servers direct from the back of the rack to a switch? Yeah, generally, back of the rack to the switch is fine. VMware's dead. Long live VMware. Actually, that's it. One of the things, my project for today, we do these lunch and learns at CNWR. We train people on different things. Today's lunch and learn, Tom was doing a talk on XCP-NG. So that's definitely where a lot of stuff is going. I've never really messed much. I don't think they have the ability to do rules that segregate like that. Not with UniFi. I mean, it can be done with there's other switch manufacturers that have very fine-grained port access controls. UniFi doesn't have fine-grained port access controls to do that, or they're not very advanced. It's not something I spent a lot of time testing because there's not a lot of people that have a use case for it. Yeah, Broadcom happened. Broadcom is doing what everyone knew Broadcom would do. It'd be MAC filtering or pvLANs. Yeah, I don't think. I mean, we have Google. Does UniFi support pvLAN? Sounds like they do not, according to the forum post that I pulled up. People ask if I'm using Wi-Fi 7. I am not. Have you ever thought of doing some intro to hacking or blue team specific videos? I know others do it. I have videos that you can consider that. The how I would hack you is a red team perspective with a blue team response. So we have 2 how I would hack you videos that me and Jason Slagle did. I think that would make sense. What do you think if UniFi's one SSD, multiple password to different VLANs? I want to test that. I don't know anything bad about it. It's kind of neat. What happens if we get to the point where Tom asks AI Tom questions? What if there's a future where I have to do that because I'm not as sharp as I was because I'm old? Sometimes I feel that way right now. I sometimes look back at the things I did that were more complicated. I was just going over a few things and I'm like, oh, wow. It is going to be interesting. That I probably should document what I know now because there's a future version of me that may know less. But maybe there's a future where we have some type of restorative thing, so my brain function doesn't decline over time, but they can keep fixing it. I don't know. But I want to bring up Zyxel real quick here. They're in the news again, and I don't know why people like Zyxel at all. I've never really liked them, and they have another. I didn't even. This just dropped today. It's under advisory about a remote command execution, another RCE for them. They just have a bunch of path traversal problems. And they used to have a few backdoors. I think they got caught with 2 different backdoors. I've never liked them that much in general. I don't get their popularity at all. And it seems like anytime if you start digging through, they have a lot of dumb problems of just not building them to a high quality. I seen it in the news. It popped up today and just like, yeah, another one of those. On a more positive note, we actually had a win for the privacy people. This is pretty big deal. Victory Ring announces it will no longer facilitate police requests for footage from users. The police had this whole thing where they could just get all this other footage. It led to, of course, rampant abuse and privacy problems. Shocking, right? Government abusing power that they were given too much of by Ring. So Ring decided after all the problems this created, they're going to stop this. And years ago, after public outcry and criticism, we'll read the bigger part here. The announcement will also not stop police from trying to get Ring footage directly from the device owners without a warrant. Ring users should also know that when police knock on their door, they have a right and should request that the police get a warrant before handing over footage. And there's been a lot of public outcry around this. It's funny because back in the days of when me and Xavier were doing the How I Got Hacked channel, we talked about a lot of the privacy problems. We talked about Ring. We talked about Project Greenlight going on here in the Detroit area and other cities as well. But, we're in Detroit. We discussed it, and it led to the false arrest of a lot of people because of the way they were using it. And once again, lots of privacy. So I was just excited to see this. I wanted to share the news on that, yes, that's definitely a win for privacy for a change. I want to celebrate that. So I never used Zyxel back in 2004. So there was a time when they were popular. And their security problems means they've got the same problem since 2004. Yes. With the video of the Pi 5 the other day, have you used Pi Max? I have not. "20 years, Tom AI wearing a shirt that says NAS." NAS is not a brain backup. I don't know why I paused to read that for some reason. Brain pauses. Cache misses. Instead of brain fart, I've replaced that with cache miss every time I pause because I can't remember something exactly because it's being pulled from long-term memory. It wasn't in the short, ready, available memory. Thoughts on UniFi UDR, UniFi Dream Router? They're fine. I've thought about reviewing some of the UniFi lineup now that they have a better ones. I really like the little one I just reviewed. I think that one's pretty cool. I don't think I've tested the UniFi Dream Router one though. False positives from facial recognition software led to a wrongful arrest of a guy here in Detroit. Absolutely. This has been a problem. And more than one person was arrested as well. There's been, I think, 2 or 3 incidents on there. I don't understand the weird obsession running VMs and containers on underpowered, small ARM-based devices. I had Kate's cluster as a demonstration, but would never actually use it. Yeah, I think it's a learning experience because of the resource constraint. And maybe for a home user, I don't even, I'll go a step further and say outside of learning setting up Kubernetes stuff, I never use Kubernetes in my home lab. People seem like surprised and they're like, Tom, why aren't you doing Kubernetes video? You like home lab stuff. I'm like, why do I need Kubernetes in my home lab? I mean, I use fresh RSS, all these news stories I'm pulling. This is my, people ask like tools that you want to use tools you use all the time in your home lab. And one of them is going to be fresh RSS. I did a whole video breaking it down. I don't need this on a Kubernetes high availability Raspberry Pi cluster. If for some reason the single server running my fresh RSS decided to stop doing so, I would just fix that server and not read the news until then. I don't know. And it's backed up with the config backed up all the time. So it's actually easy to restore it to another server because it does run in a container. It's in a Docker container. So yeah, I don't know. If a customer rules out UniFi gear for their network, what's your next go-to? Oh, fun topic. Our go-to can be quite a few different things, but we were just talking, me and Jason Slagle were talking about this today. The customer self-selected by the way they want to architect their network or the way they have to architect their network. You can split hairs on that. They really need a bunch of ACLs and layer 3 policy type routes. So that selects away UniFi, which was actually their inbound request. So if we need a bunch of switches, we need them to be UniFi. Well, UniFi can't do what they want it to do. So the core switches, Arista or Cisco are going to be a couple go-tos that we have. Jason can chime in here. Those are for people who need those advanced features. Those are good. The downside is you have to have the budget that allows you to do that. That's definitely going to be one of the things. Oh, just get one of those 98 234 things Patrick reviewed. Yeah, some of these other small mini PCs definitely going to be a lot faster than Raspberry Pi. Matter of fact, Jeff Geerling, he just did a video. And it's funny because I talked to Jeff. Jeff can't believe how polarizing his video was. He's got people in the comments telling him how much they love the Raspberry Pi and he did a good job. And there's other people in there saying on that same video, why do you hate the Raspberry Pi so much, Jeff? And he's comparing it to the, I think it's the N100 Intel. But yes, there's a lot of options out there for low powered computing. Check out my friends at Hardware Haven. They've talked about and covered some of the other alternatives that are x86, pretty powerful. You're buying them used off eBay, but you can get quite a bit of computer for probably a little less than you'd pay for a brand new Raspberry Pi, and it's faster. What's WireGuard performance on a unified routers? It varies by each model. I think they have their VPN speed listed on each model. I could be wrong, but I think that's listed on each, like it's a cap. It is what it is for each model based on the processor in it. Do you have any comments or thoughts about the USW Pro 48 PoE? I think I have one of those. Works. We've sold a bunch of them. I think I have one in my rack as well at the Southgate office, but they work. I got no complaints. We have a lot of UniFi stuff at the office and it all just works fine. Let me log into the yeah, here's some of the switches at the Southgate office, but what do we have in here? Oh, we just got the aggravation rack, some Flex Minis, an 8-port PoE, another PoE. Oh, time to update the Wi-Fi. Confirm. But Yeah, all the UniFi switches have really been very reliable. All this anything second gen is really reliable. There's a ton of options. I'm partial to Cisco and Arista, but that's because I know and understand them by what you know, uh, or what you're going to learn. That's a really important thing. There's people out there that really like MikroTik, and I know they know it really well. I don't know MikroTik as well. I know it's quirky, but I talked to an ISP, wireless ISP. The person took the time to really understand MikroTik, and they use it a lot. So they can make it dance because they know the ins and outs and the problems you run into. Jason is a longtime Cisco guy and knows Arista. And we have several other people that are Cisco people at CNWR. We go with what we know we configure properly, configure securely, and manage and implement without scratching our heads. So it's not just about price. It does influence your product decision based on knowing what will work and what you know how to make work. Fresh Air says on a Raspberry Pi is good. I mean, it'll run on a Pi. I guess I could. I actually, because I wanted to really try it, I moved my Docker containers all to my Synology, and I can't believe how good Synology does at Docker containers now. No complaints at all. My Synology is not particularly fast, but I'm already using it, so it seems logical to keep it running there. Jeff has 15,000 Raspberry Pis. Accurate. Jeff has a lot of Raspberry Pis. Oh, yeah. Tom needs the RGB UniFi switch because, that is a know your audience thing. There is nobody in corporate IT that cares about that. Like, they're not ordering or paying extra for that. But as far as like the home lab audience, oh yeah. Yeah, that's the videos on it are popular. I completely get it. I deploy extreme networks as part of my job. I've definitely drank the purple Kool-Aid. Yeah, if you get to know them, it makes a big difference. Managed my first switch as a Dell Power Connect CLI managed was a learning curve. Yes, I think the first time I learned was ProCurve was the first time. I actually did ProCurve before. I did Cisco, got confused, learned ProCurve. This is years ago, obviously, long before HP owned them, and was doing some configs on that. I just don't do a lot of command line switch configs anymore. That is, I don't know. I got bad at it for it's attrition. I just don't use it enough anymore. I should sit down and configure networks all by hand. Oddly, the early UniFis you could do that on, and the edge switches you could. And I used to do edge switch, but the early UniFis had command line options. And I think I have old videos from years ago. By the way, completely irrelevant because when UniFi updated their product line, they actually took that out. They don't have that anymore. You've been enjoying the Home Lab podcast for now. Really good. Thank you very much. I'm kicking HPE out of my house. Yeah. Kind of on the news since we're talking about HPE. Who's seen this article? HP CEO says customers are a bad investment unless companies buy DRM cartridges. Yes. He wants to turn printers into a subscription service because, his $20 million a year in compensation isn't enough. He needs to figure out how to completely turn your life into printing hell, as if HP wasn't doing it already. But yeah, this whole thing is just a mess. I'll share that. I'll leave this article in here for anyone who wants to read through it, but it's just showing you that corporate greed taking another worse turn, as if, yeah. And I think Jason's got a good point about this right here. Don't worry, HP will eventually buy whatever you replace it with. Yes. No, it's HP Consumer. Yeah, they broke their divisions into different companies. I know. It still made me think of it. It still got HP in the name. It's still the namesake. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. The whole discussion of they need to lock them down so they don't put an ink cartridge that has a virus in it or something. I yeah. I don't even I'm aggravated right now with Sony cameras. So I updated the firmware on my cameras. And now, this angered a lot of people. I can deal with it. I'm mad about it, but I'm not as mad as some of the photographers. The new Sony update, the firmware update, not this is not in the firmware. They have a whole list of things that they change in a firmware update, this, and this, right? Fix bugs, enhance this. But when you update to the latest firmware, if you don't use a Sony battery, it lets you know that you're not using a Sony battery. You must wait a second and click the confirm button. So you can't just turn the camera on. You have to actually let it, confirm that you're using, and it's not supported by Sony battery on there. And there's a lot of third-party battery companies very angry. They've been selling third-party batteries for a while, and Sony decided a firmware update would then give you a warning whenever you weren't using a Sony battery. It's stupid. I appreciate you time slicing your vlog. It's extremely helpful. Yes, because I babble on. I mean, I'm 46 minutes in and not stopping yet. So yes, I know it's very helpful I use an AI tool to go through and parse these after the fact. It takes the live stream a little while before it gets ready. I think like an hour. Within an hour of the live stream, I have a tool called Taja.ai that grabs timestamps and summaries of what happened in the video. Good evening. Sounds like we need a good open source printer. No, we just need to stop printing. That's I'm on the bandwagon of why do we need printing? That's the I think we can just figure out ways to stop printing. That's the way we win. We just don't print anything anymore. I'm like perfectly fine. I can only see upside to not printing things. I don't like touching paper. Paper bothers me. Paper is like stuff that comes in the mail that I never want. I don't get anything in the mail I want that's on paper. Like, just stop printing. Why do we do this? We have technology. Don't print things anymore. That's what is my preferred UPS brand? I like the ones that are on sale. So if you buy a good brand name one, APC, I can't remember the ones I have in the office now. I did a video with the guy. I think they're Extreme Networks or Extreme Power. I think it's Extreme Power. If you look for UPS guide, I did a good video breaking down all the UPS features and how they work that you'll find on my channel. But my favorite UPSs are the one on sale. Quintar, thank you very much for the donation of $10. It is greatly appreciated. I like when people throw money at me. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not asking anyone to, but I don't mind if they do. It's like tipping, I guess. Tip your favorite YouTuber. Put money in the beer thing for me. Yeah, my wife works in the financial industry. They are keeping the paper industry very busy. Printers are an IT manager. Worst nightmare. I totally agree. Banning them. Yes. "54-year-old building my first home lab. My brain hurts. Thank you for videos. Awesome. Hey, it's never too late to start. We mostly see CyberPower as a good mix of affordable and supportive features. Yeah, the CyberPower ones are good. There's a school district. I can't remember if I did a video on this or not. I should look in there and see if I have one. It's one of those things. They call out the specialist. That's us. And to figure out why one huge segment of the school is down, and we get there and we start wandering around, and we realize that the problem was the one of the racks. The teacher didn't like the beeping anymore because it was letting them know the battery was bad. So they unplugged the UPS and the switch that was there, killing half the network. It was just funny because the teacher didn't think it would affect anything. They just didn't want to hear it beep anymore in the teacher's lounge. So they just went and unplugged it. But they had a whole lot of cyber power ones, and they were all beeping because the batteries were going bad because they were so old. Let's see here. Hey, thank you for the dollar. The dollar? Oh, I get it. He's throwing the dollars at me. Oh yeah, and the RG45 on an APC is not an Ethernet jack. Yeah. But I actually have, and I think I have it. It might be at the office still. There's I like it. Someone's just making it rain on me, throwing bearded IT dad throwing me the dollars. This is how I'm visualizing it, right? It's got me laughing. But there was a stupid vulnerability in APC. I think it was their smart UPS. This is so stupid. So the way I shared this on Twitter because I couldn't believe how stupid it was. No, there's apparently no one at HP or not HP, APC that thought of this use case. You would go and take your UPS. The only way to get it online with the APS smart feature, if you wanted to use it, you'd plug it in, you'd punch in the serial number of your APC on a website, and it only had DHCP. You couldn't configure it. So it would get an IP address. It would reach out to their site and give you status information. Then all you had to do was put the serial number in. And you might have thought about this for 2 seconds and go, someone could put the serial number in and I could put different serial numbers in, and then I can initiate a UPS test over and over again, cycling it until it went bad. It turns out that's exactly what people did. And I guess they don't have, if I remember right, there wasn't even rate limiting. You could just keep dropping serial numbers in to do testing and diagnostics on it. And I'm like, no one thought about this in any secure way. I had an issue passing my AMD GPU through Windows, VM, and XP, and specific might help. There's a write-up on how to pass it through. Maybe I'll do a video on it. I just don't use it on my day-to-day. That's why I've never bothered doing a video. Most of my videos, I take the easy road to doing them. I just talk about what I know. And exactly what Jason said here, but let's pull something up for you that might even be more helpful. If you haven't read this, they have a walkthrough on how to do this with PCI pass-through. This is in the documentation, how to find the device, how to remove the devices from DOM0. This is the blacklisting that Jason's talking about here. This is the command that you'll do it once you figure out what you want to blacklist. And from there, you can then pass it through into that particular VM. This is under docs.xcp-ng.org/compute. I've had an issue of passing GPU through Windows XP. All right. That's the one I had. Is there a way to have all my X08 instances synced? I have backup jobs all on one instance and need it on another. Then, I mean, no, yes. There's not a sync, because why would you sync them? You don't need multiple X08 instances synced. At least I don't know the use case for that. I mean, there's probably some hacky way you could do it. It's just a database, and you could write a script to sync the database over to another one. I don't know why you would do that, as I said, but I mean, you can. And if you're in XCP-NG, one of the things you can do is here's some of the things that are, so this is my lab one. I can go through and export the config. So if I take the exo config, I can download the config and upload it to another one. but I don't know any reason to synchronize another one. Enterprise question. Anyone use MS Intune? We actually do a tool called EmiBot. We EmiBot gives you, I'll pull a page up. It's a paid commercial product that you might be interested in if you're trying to do. It does a lot more than what you can do with like Intune. This does a lot of automation. So if you're looking for an IMMYBOT. Use case for XOA sync is you want a primary DC and the backup in another. Maybe I'm thinking about HA with. Yeah, I completely don't know why you'd want to do it that way. Just put your Zen Orchestra instance on a resource pool that has high availability, and it will restart on one of the other hosts if the main host goes down. So yeah, you haven't watched my video on how Zen works. I have that video on how Zen Orchestra works. Maybe that would help. I posted it within the last 30 days. But I mean, you can go through all their documentation. I still don't understand that as a use case. Because use case is XOA sync if you want one in a primary data center and the backup in another. Yeah, no, you don't need that. Because by the way, Zen Orchestra, if it goes down or if you stop Zen Orchestra, none of the VMs stop. They still work. Zen Orchestra is just for doing orchestration tools. So if my Zen Orchestra instance itself comes to a stop, it doesn't stop any of the things that are running. Are you going to quickly show us bare bones configuration tool for XCP-NG as an example if a company did not want to use Zen Orchestra? No, not really. I mean, learn the command line, and that doesn't make a lot of sense. You can do everything from command line calls through the Zen API. That's not a tenable, manageable way to do it, I don't think. So I would definitely not recommend it. You can go through the command line and XO VM UUID and tell it to start and stop that particular VM, or you can issue all the commands to change the VM from the command line, but it's tedious. There's a reason there's a web UI for doing that. Yeah, Zen Orchestra 6 UI is very good. Not sure when it's going to be released. Later this year, it should be out there. It seems extreme. Yeah, well, that seems to be slow. Perhaps the disk is trying to. Okay, wrong one. So Orchestra or nothing is what you're saying. Pretty much. They're going to have XO Lite out pretty soon. XO Lite will give you some basic functionality. So you can use XO Lite to start and stop VMs. That might be enough. That's something they're working on. It's making some small but incremental changes as it gets better. That is going to be an alternative for people that don't want to use an Orchestra, but it's not going to have any of the backup functions in it or anything like that. It's like vSphere versus EXI. If the vSphere goes down, the VMs, none of the VMs go down. Yes, that's a better analogy. Treat XOA like any other VM, have it moved to another server in a pool. Yep, that's as simple as that. Matter of fact, you can run Zen Orchestra outside your pool. I talked about this the other day, and I can pull it up somewhere. Hold on. Too many things running. Let's pull up VirtualBox here. I have a local instance. Actually, let me fix this too. I have to stop a tool. It turns out I found a weird conflict. If I run Barrier so I can move my mouse and keyboard over to the Windows computer that I have that runs my studio, if you have Barrier turned on and you are running VirtualBox on the same system, you may lose the mouse. It just goes away. uh, it's kind of weird. Yeah, this is definitely a question I've had for people who seem to want to use something other than the Zen Orchestra, and I don't really. I mean, if you're going to use XCP-NG, you kind of got to deal with Zen Orchestra if you want all the features. And if you're in the open source community where you just want to play with this in your lab, you can absolutely run all of this. But this host here, .46. I got to remember the password to it. Well, that was easy. It's a lab system, so I only had a couple different passwords to try. This is what the Zen Orchestra Lite interface looks like. So you can see things that are running, but most of the other stuff is just all under construction right now. There's not much here. I mean, I can fire things up like right here's my lab. I can say start this particular one. It's coming along, so it'll do really basic tasks. K8s and Docker Swarm for a home lab. Is one easier to set up long term than the other? If you do it for learning, I don't know. I don't really use any of the Kubernetes stuff. It just adds a layer of complexity I don't need. But I will say my friend over at he's got a channel called Jim's Garage. He's actually compared Docker Swarm and some of the Kubernetes stuff. He's done some good videos on it. I don't use either. I don't use Docker Swarm and I don't use Kubernetes, so I'm not the right person to ask. Yeah, the XCP-NG with even like right here. So these VMs were already running. Actually, this one wasn't. I started it with XO. But if I stop the virtual machine that runs Zen Orchestra, these keep doing their thing. That's a matter of fact, that's why I had to turn it on. I don't even leave it running. The only time I start it up and run is when I want to do a backup. So let me go ahead and actually, I need to destroy one of these. I don't need this VM anymore. Fire up my Windows 10. This one can stop. Boot up my Windows system here. TrueNAS is a nice platform to get into K3s, I think. I disagree. It's not showing you anything about the K3s. Are there K3s running underneath it? Sure, we've got some version of Kubernetes underneath, but that's not the same as actually running Kubernetes and setting it up. It is running underneath, but check for updates. Cool. It's up to date. Oops, I made it too big. Shut it down. Back it up. When was the last backup? Is it old? It's only 10 days ago. We'll run it anyways, so I have a new version of it. This just backs up to my TrueNAS. The only thing I'm lost on the license for XCP-NG and Orchestra sounds like it's open source free for home lab, but as soon as you're in the corporate production environment, you should buy a license. Yeah, I mean, you should support the development and continued use of this product if you use it for a business. I don't think that's unreasonable. I wouldn't let my devs deploy K8s because they didn't understand it. And if it's broke, it'd be like, hey, Jason, come help me. This is the challenges me and Jason. This is completely Jason's problem now because I sold my IT business to Jason. For those of you that don't know, Jason Slagle's president of CNWR, and these are the things you have to think of as a business owner. Is there's solutions you may be very technical and adept at, but before you sell those solutions, do you have a team of people that can actually support those solutions? Because if you don't, you have to support those solutions. I've made that mistake numerous times, and Jason, I don't know if it's through the learning of others or just being smarter than me, he knows exactly what the problem is. I've definitely over the years put together solutions that I then couldn't find anyone besides me to support because of the complexity. This is one of the reasons I pitch so much for, when possible, it's about solutions that you can sell that you can support. That's an important distinction. If you make money off their product, they want to as well. It's how I understand it. I mean, you want to support the further development of it. It may be open source and they've given away the code for free, but the time and engineering and the furthering of the product does require some revenue. Even though the people that work at Vates may enjoy writing code for XCP-NG and Zen Orchestra, it still requires that they pay their bills every day. They don't get a free pass on all the other expenditures of life because they write code. Actually, the implementations of K3s on TrueNAS is quite junky. Podman or even Docker would have been a better choice. I find it to be very buggy myself. Hey, Mr. Systems. Fair enough. If you're running some Docker containers on an instance of Debian Linux, how would you back that up to Backblaze? I just back up the data if I was to back it up. I mean, I don't natively back up any of my Linux stuff to Backblaze, but there's tools to do it. There's ways you can build tooling around it. Oh, that's true. Yeah, there's a SCO VMware project that we sold. Yes, SCO, as in look that up because it's in. If you don't know what SCO is, you're probably a lot younger than me and Jason. And yeah, we actually did this for a client. I think we should turn that into a video, Jason. Like how let's turn that into a video outline because I think it's a fun topic. How we rescued a SCO system. And it's intricate for sure and involves all kinds of fun things because the computer we rescued it from doesn't even have USB. I don't mean like it doesn't have USB 2. I don't mean it doesn't have USB 1. I mean, the computer we rescued it off of doesn't have USB. It's that old and it was still running. That's the first impressive part about the entire thing. It had not died and had been running for over 20 years. And Jason rescued it. It's a fun project. What's my opinion on zero trust? It's a wonderful marketing term. There's a lot of people selling it. I don't know if they always know what it means, but they're definitely selling you zero trust. If you want to talk about like a different VPN solution, trust but verify, is a better way I would probably describe it. Zero trust is more often used as a marketing term, is my unfortunate. So get a little more specific in your ask, so I can definitely speak to it. If you're talking about just other VPNs that are authenticating using the same tools that maybe are your OAuth login, for example. Actually, someone reached out to us today that consulting project on exactly that. But yeah, definitely. I mean, it's better to have a computing solution where you don't automatically trust things based on where they are in the network. So if they're inside the perimeter, you don't automatically test them. That's actually, I think, a really good security practice. We do that as well. Like even when you get into the VPN for our network, that's only layer 1. Then you have to authenticate against the services that are inside of there. I mean, I'm sure this came on floppies and it was installed on the system via floppies, just not USB. When you think about when there's no USB and the drives are really, really old, scuzzy from the 90s, how do you get data off of that? That was the first challenge. We did it, and that's why it's kind of a fun thought process to walk through everything we did to make that work. I figured out how to get scale apps showing in the data. I had to install TrueNAS Net Data app, not True Charts. I don't use I'm not using True Charts anymore, so change the group from dimension to K8's namespace. Neat. And then it shows data on a per application basis. That's pretty cool. You should probably, is there a write-up in the TrueNAS forums about it? That would be interesting to make that easier to find. How's the weather? Wet. It is very wet here in Detroit. It has been nonstop raining. Absolutely nonstop. I don't remember exactly what processor was in it. I don't know. I didn't work on the project. I observed other people working on the project. I did have a suggestion for how they could get the data, so I did participate in the project briefly. That's it. I was like, that looks like a Jason problem. I just didn't mess with it. It was a fun challenge. Found it in the this was my rant 2 weeks ago. I don't understand, and this is a perfect example of the problem. You found it in the True Charts Discord. If you would have had it, if True Charts would, instead of using Discord, use a proper forum where all this data gets indexed, a search engine would be able to index and find this. I think that is such a loss right now. Everyone's sticking data in discourse and it just gets locked in there. And it's not well indexed. And you now have to specifically go not just to Discord to search it, but the specific Discord server that hopefully has the data you're looking for. And that is the most dumb thing. You're giving a proprietary company a big pile of data. What do you think is going to happen at some point to that company? They're going to lock that data behind a paywall. They're going to charge for access. They're going to extract whatever value they can until nobody uses it anymore. And yeah, that's why I'm just not a fan of that at all. Have you tried Microsoft Copilot for Office 365? I have not. Maybe I'll try it. I don't know. Not high on my to-do list. Does your company take on any home automation wiring projects, or you just limit yourself to commercial office project only? Pretty much to commercial office project, because doing home stuff is way harder. It's one of those things like, I mean, could we do it? Yeah. I mean, if someone wanted to start the bidding at like $20,000 or $30,000 project, I've done home ones that were pretty large scale. We've done them for some of the owners of businesses. There's times when we've worked on it, but our field of expertise is a lot less in home automation. So it really has to be worth it for us to get into it. We focus mostly on the commercial side. Email my TrueNAS server, 8 currently unreadable pending sectors. Dev D, it's Friday yet. Oh, yeah. Sir, 8 currently unreadable pending sectors. Yeah, isn't that fun? Fun times. Linux general how-to maybe. Local indexing? I'm not exactly sure what you're asking. I do need to grab more water, though. My voice is getting hoarse. So I will be right back after I grab some water. I'm going to throw up my little be right back banner. Where's that at? Oh, there it is. Be right back. All right. Let's see. Welcome back. Oh, if anyone's wondering, it is a come on, focus. Jack Daniels. There we go. And someone said that I need to make my microphone look like a beer can because that has been suggested that it is a beer can hanging partway in the thing. Thank you for all your tutorials, especially the pfSense ones. I learned a lot. Longtime pfSense user since MonoWall. Wow, that is a long time. Let's see. From the way I understand it, Zero Trust is a VPN, which allows you to connect to the after the user's identity permission systems. Seems like a VPN, but with a little bit more. That's what the selling people. Let's do this. I thought about doing a video. What is Zero Trust? The problem is everyone's got a video, but everyone has their own take on it. I'm not selling you anything. So we're just going to read NIST because I'm not selling you NIST. I'm just telling you NIST exists. An enterprise cybersecurity plan that utilizes zero trust concepts and encompasses component relationships, workflow planning, and access policies. Therefore, a zero trust enterprise is the network infrastructure, physical and virtual, and operational policies that are in place for an enterprise as a product of zero trust architecture plan. A security model is a set of system design principles and coordinated cybersecurity system management strategy based on acknowledgement that a threat exists both inside and outside traditional network boundaries. The zero trust model eliminates implicit trust of any one element, component, node, or service, and instead requires continuous verification of operational picture via real-time information from multiple sources to determine access, and other responses. So it's a continuous verification of the operational picture via real-time information from multiple sources to determine access and other responses. That makes sense? Or did the security spin make more sense? And now people will then, it's defined in NIST and it's taken from NIST and extracted into marketing. You do a cost benefit analysis if a server is more effective in the cloud or if it's more effective on-prem. The big driving factor is almost always the amount of data. We have some video editing companies like that do movie production, like movies you've watched, movies you've heard of, definitely series you've heard of, and some of them are like one of them. Their biggest client is Netflix, and we're a tier down from Netflix that these companies do the editing on. It's not practical to put it in the cloud. If people try to say, "Hey, put that in the cloud," no problem. You'd be paying $10,000 a month in cloud fees, and your connection would be slow. So it's about the amount of data. Indexing in Linux, is it possible? Yes, but I don't know what you're trying to index. Plus one, thank you for the pfSense videos. My basic router finally died, I'll assume. Carked. Not heard that word before. It had to do a crash course at pfSense 3M. Fun times. Your videos were a godsend. Awesome. Continuous verification. So there's a concept that's easier to explain related to zero trust. It's operating under assume breach. Assume you can't trust someone just because they're inside the perimeter of your network. That is a extrapolated view of zero trust. I can't trust you because you're on my network. So an example is going to be, and we'll pull this up because I think this is probably just an easy example. What is so if I go here, I am inside my network and I have a login screen. I now have to verify my identity in order to log into this service, but I'm already inside my network. Now, on a non-zero trust model, I trust because of your position on the network. You got on my network so you can access the resources. Zero trust says verify this. Most people do this anyways. Most services have some type of login on there. So this is kind of a basic overview of like zero trust. Can you auto export pfSense config every day to TrueNAS and keep the last 7? Let me come back to that. You don't need to do that every day, but there's a way to do that. No, there's not actually. There's not a way to do it to a TrueNAS. You can write a script to do it. That's probably my easiest answer. If you wanted it auto exported to a TrueNAS, you'd have to write a script. Any thoughts and recommendations on securing risk assessing IoT devices in a typical office environment? In general, I would say they need to be consideration. I just put them on a separate network. There's not much more to them than that. If an office has random IoT stuff, just put it away from the other stuff. Put all that random things that someone bought to monitor the fish tank on a separate network. Wasn't MonoWall the firewall that used an extra keyboard to flash numlock and scroll up and caps and lock likes to show traffic? I feel like that's correct, but it's been a long time and I can't remember. It makes sense. Just not sure we couldn't do this with our own hardware on-prem. Yeah. Last live I joined, you said you expect some Synology notifications. I asked about to work. I got a chance to dig into over the weekend and found a simple setting I missed and the remote NAS and the camera settings. Awesome. That is wonderful to hear that you got that working. It's always one of those simple little things you overlook when you're going through there. It's always so aggravating, but what can really help with that is when you do something, when you set something up, it's kind of handy. I do this for my video scripts, but we do a lot of work instructions at CNWR. We go through and document things, and once you've documented them in detail and you've done it a few times, and you're like, okay, here's the steps. That way, when you go to configure another one, you use the document like a checklist, like set this, check, set this, check, set this, check, boom, and then you can get it right. So that is it's definitely one of those things so you don't miss those as much. And it takes time though. Some of it becomes muscle memory because I set these up so much, especially for my labs. Before I do a video, I build it, tear it down, build it, tear it down, build it, tear it down. I kind of go in cycles like that to be able to really get good at it, if you will. Let's see here. Did you get the vid on Monday done? I don't know what vid that was Monday. So if your pfSense dies, needs a way to recover your last config, or you just re-image pfSense on mirrored drives. I mean, getting the config is easy. I've done a video on pfSense backups. I've done backup and restore videos on it. All you need is your last known config. You can also, and I'm going to show it here on the screen in a second. I don't use this because I don't need to, but you can use this if it would be easier. Hold on. Where did it go? Is it a service? There we go. There's an auto config backup, and this will automatically back up to pfSense's servers. So you could use this and have it automatically have a backup. And if you have to restore pfSense, you reload it, get it online, and pull the config down. So that I've done a video on this. If you type in like pfSense auto config backup, you'll find a video. No, this is not enabled by default. Yep, it is off by default. Now, what pfSense does do by default, if you go to Diagnostics Backup Restore, um, the default config history is 30. I have it not at 30, but the default config history is 30 versions. I've got more apparently. All right. What reverse proxy product do you most often deploy for customers, if any? Not that many. There's not that many people that need a reverse proxy. HA proxy works perfectly fine, but we don't have a big customer demand on reverse proxies. HA proxy works quite well, though. 69 versions. Yes, yes. I love using internet funny numbers whenever I can. I love the internet funny numbers. So if your pfSense SD dies, the nice thing about mirrored drives is it's supported in pfSense, and it's a great way to do it. Just use mirrored drives if you're really worried about a drive failure. Drive failures, though, are really rare in pfSense because it's not like it's a high intensity device writing a absolute ton of data. So it's not like a big concern. It's when I look through our ticket history of problems we've had with firewalls, I'm not going to say it's never been a firewall drive that went bad, but it's not that often. It's not the common underlying cause of firewall problems. It's a good risk to prevent against, but we don't have that many RAID arrays running our. You can actually do Z3 array, RAID Z1, so you can like put 3 drives in. That's actually supported. I'm pretty sure that one's supported in pfSense as well, not just mirrors. Been contemplating moving from traffic to blocky on TrueNAS to HA proxy and Acme on pfSense, but can't make up my mind. I like the HA proxy because I have it all in one place. I have my proxy, I have my DNS, my one place with all my configs that are really easy to back up. Matter of fact, because right now I'm running this device is a Netgate 4200. Oh, let me see if I can pull this up. Yeah, there we go. So this is a Netgate 4200. I'm doing testing on it. I wanted to test it like in production use. So this video is running through it right now, the whole live stream. But the Netgate 4200 here, how did I set this up for my other one? All I did was upload my config to it. It turns out the configs match. So I downloaded the config off one, upload the config here, reboot the modem, and it works. That includes all my proxy setups, everything in terms of the certificates, my different VPN servers, my privacy VPN, which is PIA, all of that just worked. And that's one of the reasons I love the backup config. It just makes it really easy to restore. Seems like HA proxy easier, better if I want to have fully quad DNS for things that aren't on my scale machine. Yes, I mean, it's just kind of an all-in-one place I configure everything. Yeah, I like how quick. I mean, every time I make a change to my pfSense, this is a habit for me. I make a change to one of my servers, like pfSense, or even TrueNAS if it's a backend change. Then I download the config file, and I have a place I store config files, and you just store them, and away you go. I have a backup copy of every one of my configs, and I only really need the backups when I make changes. If I'm not making changes, which most of the time I'm not making changes, so I don't care about the backups. I don't care about backing it up on a daily basis. There's not any day-to-day changes I'm making. When I do make a change, before I make the change, I have a backup before from the last time. Maybe I'll make another backup if I need to. Generally, I'll make some rule changes, make some modifications. I'm happy that it works. Download config, have a great day. And there's a backup of it. Which El Yucateca hot sauce is your go-to? And that would be El Yucateca Black. I do like the El Yucateca Black sauce. That one's really good. You know someone named Lawrence. Awesome. My last name is Lawrence, so it's technically not my first name. Talk about Netgate boxes, how quickly NTOP wear out the storage. I've been running it for years on boxes, and it hasn't been an issue. It just doesn't seem to have a problem. How do you get a TrueNAS config file? Pretty simple. Go to your, here, we'll pull one up. Hey, we'll pull up my Home Lab 15 server. You just go here, and somewhere is a option. Oh, manage configuration, download file. There you go. This will back up and save the configuration out of your TrueNAS. What up, son? What are you doing?
I didn't know if you were still streaming.
Still streaming. There's 161 people staring at your One Piece shirt.
Hello, people.
Yes. Lawrence Jr.
Oh, God. No, I don't like that.
We'll call you Larry Jr.
Oh, no, that's even worse.
Do I need to order you a pizza? Is that what you're... You don't know? Okay. All right. I'll be done shortly. All right. Have you done a multi-WAN video on pfSense? Yes, I have. You can, if you look in like multiple WAN pfSense on my channel, you'll find that. What up, son? Sounds like dad speak. Yes. Oh, I big on his door all the time in his room. And I open his door and I'm like, at first I always knock because I'm polite. Then I open his door. Are you winning, son? I love saying that. I say that all the time. If he comes out of his room, that's my first question. Are you winning, son? Have you tried WireGuard tunnels on pfSense? Was asked about yesterday. Yeah, we've actually done a lot of site to sites with WireGuard in pfSense. It's really solid. Are we rolling out IPv6 to our clients? No, we're not. I'm not. We don't have anyone asking for it, and we're not running around pushing it. So no, I'm not worried about IPv6. I said this in someone, of course, this always starts an argument. The reality is, this is the world we live in today. I think something will replace IP in general before IPv6 becomes a thing. That's my opinion. And I've got almost 20 years of everyone telling me it's the year of IPv6 and not seeing it happen. So yeah, I don't really perceive it as necessary right now, which will definitely cause some anger in the comments. Fun stuff. I use a cron job to back up my TrueNAS configs each night and sync the copy of the config to another location. Yeah, you can do that. I don't back up the configs daily. I back up the configs when I make changes. That's fine for me, but automation's good. I mean, if you got a way to automate it, that's probably better. Would XCP-NG run fine from a USB flash drive? And if I was able to redirect syslog to a separate box and have some little tiny PCs, could you hack it together? Would it work? Yes. Would it work long-term? You better get a USB with some high write endurance, because even if you move var log, there's still a lot going on. I mean, it could be done. I don't know that I'd recommend it. Thank you very much for the donation. It is greatly appreciated. What other topics do I have here? You know, I don't really have that many other topics. Yeah, no problem. I mean, there's all kinds of ways you can just get in there and tinker with it. And I encourage people, it's a great learning opportunity to really make it do what you want it to do. I'm all for that. Do I think it's practical? Not necessarily. It's not basically what I'm saying is it's not something I would use in production. But for learning, I think that's the best way you can learn is just kind of hack away at it until you get it working the way you want it to work. Because sometimes that's what I do, so I can figure out how I want to use it instead. Oh, good. My Windows backup worked. Successful. Now I'm wondering, I was backing up some data. This is my, this is the 45 drives Home Lab 15. Good. Looks like all 11 terabytes of data have moved over. I've been synchronizing a lot of data on this. How much data is left on it, storage-wise? 36 terabytes of data. That's a lot of data. Oh, used is only 25. Okay. We're 60. We're getting a little full on this thing. Does anyone have an issue when a UniFi client shows the wrong IP address using a third-party firewall? Some of the phones show the right IP, some addresses of them are shown. I mean, yeah, that's going to happen if you don't have a complete UniFi system. It's going to show some of the wrong information when it pulls that. Thank you, Tom, for all your pfSense tutorials and videos and info sharing. Awesome. Glad it was helpful. I do have another meeting though, and I actually have a meeting with some friends tonight online. Well, a new friend. So I'm gonna have to jump off here in about 10 more minutes. All the different, I have to update more of these servers. I just realized one of them is out of date. Which one was it? This is my TrueNAS Mini. This is what hosts all my videos. And this, there's an update that just came out yesterday for, it's a minor update that doesn't directly affect me, but I still update everything right away. Hey, there's the backup job running that goes to my TrueNAS. Turns out all my videos don't take up that much space. This is what I edit all my videos on. So there's what about 21 terabytes of video. I'm adding NVR Pro to my UniFi system now. 2 of my cams and 2 apps appear to dropping off, reconnecting like 4 or 10 times a day. Are they Wi-Fi ones? You got to figure out and look through the error message to figure out why they're dropping. Are they Wi-Fi and are having trouble connecting, or are they wired and they're having trouble connecting? How do you keep up to date on all the firmware updates out there? I don't know. I mean, for some there's tools out there. There's actually a tool called, what was that? Mostly, I'll be honest. I mostly just read it all through news updates for things more than anything else. That's probably the easiest way I would say to do it is through news updates. But there is some tooling out there. If you remember the name of it, there's some tools out there that will do some testing to determine if you have the latest versions of software. Oh, the notes changes are easy for any one of these sites. When you go to any one of the sites for the different updates that are available, they all have, and I mean, this is actually a site, and maybe I should set up an RSS feed for this. You can read the change logs. It's all detailed out very clearly on the TrueNAS notes. So they have each date and when they release it. So here's like the January 24th change log. And it's a small hot patch. That's why I don't have it loaded. And it's for their TrueNAS Enterprise HA platform. Once again, I'm not using that, so I wasn't in a hurry to load it. I'll load it tomorrow, probably. Where's the message for their wired? I mean, you look to see if the connections are dropping. I don't know where UniFi keeps that information. Just look to see if they're like set a ping up and see if they're actually dropping from the network interface. Try a different cable. If they're wireless, then you have to look through some of the UniFi logs. I apologize for harping on XCP license. I keep getting mixed up every time I read something new about XCP-NG licensing. Solar System pay Vates each month for XCP-NG. Yes. Yeah, you pay them on a subscription fee if you want to use the license version. Is that the question? That doesn't include $85 a month, but it's more confused when I read. Well, hopefully they have updated pricing, and it's on their Vates. I'll find it real quick. I'll share this to make it easy to find for you. You can find this. I'm dropping a link in here. This is on the Vates.tech blog. The link I just shared, it's got their pricing on there. This is their bundled pricing. They just came out with this. So you can get both at the same time. So you can pay $2,000 a year for small infrastructure, and that's going to include both your XO and your XCP-NG support. Hopefully that makes sense. This is the link, vates.tech/blog. If you go to their blog, you don't have to type all that, or I think you can click the link out of the live stream chat. That makes more sense. Yes, that's why they did it. I don't think they've gotten around to updating all of their other stuff for that. Hopefully that helps. Where is someone's messaging me? And I can't find it. That's always my challenge. Not that I got a message, that I can't find out where the message came from because there's too many windows open. Oh, there it is. All right. I'm building a home lab, all UniFi, Netgear, ProSafe, managed switches. That is still the box. Should I use it with PoE Injector or buy a 24p PoE? All UniFi, and I have a Netgear ProSafe managed switch that is still in the box. Should I use it with PoE injectors or buy 24 PoE? I mean, you have to learn how to use. Whenever you have a mixed environment, you then have kind of a mismatch. You have to create the VLANs inside of the Netgear switch and then match the VLAN creation inside of UniFi. I personally don't think that's a big deal. Maybe you do. That's where the pros and cons are. When you have a network made of a hodgepodge of different equipment, you just have to manage each piece of equipment because the networking standard for VLANs is pretty standardized. So as long as you set it up properly, they should all communicate just fine. But that requires now, if you decide, hey, I'd like to add another VLAN and an UniFi controller, well, you still got this Netgate ProSafe that you also have to create one for. So that's just one of the challenges that'll come with it. It's not good or bad. It's just kind of if that's fine, not. So, but I'm going to wind it down here because I have another meeting. I think, order pizza for my son. I don't know what he wants. I'll figure that out because he was unclear while he was down here, as you may have heard. And hopefully that makes sense. Depends on how many people, PoE devices you want to power. If you have a lot of PoE stuff, then get the PoE. Otherwise, Injector is a way to go. Yeah, that's true too. If you want to have, if you have a lot of things that you want PoE to power, having a switch with a lot of PoE ports is pretty helpful. Oh, that's a whole, yeah. I hate how Netgear, you have to change untagged VLAN and it doesn't change a PVID. There's no standard for web interfaces on doing that type of stuff. So yeah. I saw your video on arpwatch yesterday, but don't know if it works across subnets and VLANs. arpwatch works for every VLAN you apply it to. So you choose which networks you apply it to, network / or VLAN. But when you choose it based on network segment, hopefully that makes sense. But I'm going to wind this down here. Thank you, everyone, for joining. This was fun as always. Love hearing all your thoughts and whatnot down in the comment. Like and subscribe to see more content from the channel. Hit me up in the forums or whatever socials you'll find me on at lawrencesystems.com. And I'll end the live stream here because I figured out who's messaging me. And I do have another meeting coming up in about 10 minutes. Later. Thanks.